Yes, people, welcome back to Albert JTV, the re-emergence of weekly surgery at a most appropriate time, people. Episode 18. But before we get into it, let's smash the intro. And there we have it, Arsenal and footballing community. Welcome back to Weekly Surgery, man. It's been a while, actually. Episode 18, like I said. All things Arsenal and Premier League talk, people. Bust up the like button, poke it, smash it, kick it, touch it, caress it, get them algorithms up, people. A lot to talk about. I've got two of my Arsenal family because this will be obviously heavily Arsenal dominated for quite a few obvious reasons. I was tempted to do the stream a little bit earlier, if I'm being honest, because as people know, I have a YouTube Tottenham wife who's in not a good way at the moment. Phoned her yesterday on the way home from the game, driving back to Portsmouth. She wasn't very happy, but what could I do? I'll pass on my regards from the rest of us to Holly's Hotspurs, but take it on the chin. But people, like I said, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to introduce my family to the live stream. So I'm going to start with my regular guest who's been on Weekly Surgery before. G Williams, welcome back, my friend. How you been?
You know what? I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm really, really. Like, what can I say, man? I've been frying up some chicken. It's the day after the North London derby where we smashed the neighbours in their own backyard. So, I mean, yeah, I'm positive. I'm good, and yeah, I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to get into this show, man. To be honest, how are you?
Yeah, I'm keeping well. Listen, it's been a nice 24 hours, man. There's a lot to talk about. I won't say too much. I don't want to keep it. I don't want to introduce our other fantastic guests, but people as well, audio listeners, you will not be forgotten. This will go on my Spotify later, so you can hear our amazing Arsenal dulcet tones in particular, people. For audio listeners, I'm wearing combat khaki green because we went into combat yesterday and we succeeded, people. But first time onto Weekly Surgery, but he's been on my channel before. My bro, Ray Kasim. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm all good, Albert. Thank you again for inviting me on, mate. I was just thinking the last time I come on with you actually was during the World Cup, and you had your Tottenham wife on that show, and it was a very different type of feeling to that show. It was all very nice, all being civil and polite to each other. I was kind of hoping she'd be on today so we could give her a bit of therapy, but hey, is what it is. Yeah. And G, pleasure to meet you, mate. I can't wait to start talking some Arsenal with you.
Yeah. But no, I would have sent the invite to Holly, but it's still not been answered yet. Nah, to be fair, she did a live stream at 7, so that's why I don't think she would have come on anyway, if I'm being honest. But yeah, people, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the format because we're not just going to talk about Arsenal. That's what Weekly Surgery is about. But I'm going to start with Arsenal, then talk about Premier League talk, and then we'll come back to the momentous occasion of yesterday, people. But coming to G first, actually. So we saw obviously Arsenal in terms of a transfer were heavily linked with one player for quite a while. And then we saw the breaking news from Fabrizio and David Ornstein in sequence that MUDRYK has gone to Chelsea. What's your sort of initial thoughts? Obviously, him not coming to us and him going to potentially, they're not been great this season, but another rival. What's your thoughts?
I've got to be completely honest. I was gutted. And, I think the main reason why was because, he is a very gifted and talented young player. He seems like he's a player that we've tracked for a long time. I think the kind of conversation or negotiations, according to reports, started back in November. And I think if you look at how hard we did actually push in terms of a number of bids and the amount of money that we were willing to go to, he's obviously a player that Mikel Arteta, Edu, and the club highly rate. So I was feeling a bit worse for wears on Saturday because it was my wife's birthday the night before. So watching the news that MUDRYK was going to be joining Chelsea unfold, literally almost like minute by minute, because it was almost like 1 minute they were linked, next minute they'd bid for him, next minute he was like holding the shirt. It just happened so quickly, and the move, you know, to Arsenal seemed to just, you know, collapse so quickly. So I was very disappointed because, and one of the main reasons why I'm so disappointed is because I'm very much aware of the fact that we need recruits. We need, you know, forward players. We need squad players to help us, you know, push potentially for this title or maintain this form and this consistency that we've had. So yeah, I was really, really gutted. Having said that, looking back on some of the news that's slowly filtering out in terms of what Chelsea paid for him and what they've gone on to offer him in terms of personal terms, Arsenal were never going to match that. I mean, we're talking about a player that's had less than 20 senior appearances for Shakhtar, and he's gone from earning $2,000 to 125k. I mean, let's be realistic, you know, in terms of the good work we've done off the pitch, in terms of our wage structure, we were never going to offer MUDRYK 125k a week, and obviously sign him for the fee that Chelsea did. So initially, I was really upset, but on reflection, I can understand why the club walked away from that deal.
Yeah, that's not a good mistake to make as a presenter. People, audio listeners, I'll put myself on mute after G gave his splendid answer. But yeah, let me rewind what I was going to say. So, yeah, Ray, I've listened to our good friend Carve Solico on Sky Sports and the transfer window. Apparently, Chelsea had monitored him for about a couple of years. And then in terms of what G was talking about, in terms of like there's very few clubs in world football with a bottomless spending power. You know, I think they said since the new owners are coming at Chelsea, I think they're talking about a 400 million spend. I think that's 4 times as much as when Abramovich took over. I sort of my feelings really, just come. I should get yours first. We want to hear what you got to say. What was your feelings about the deal not going through? Because we touched upon it, but how do you feel like a few days after the initial feeling of we didn't get him?
Yeah, a bit like G, to be honest. I was gutted initially when I found out that he was going to Chelsea. But I think just the whole thing stinks, really, doesn't it? I mean, you know, we tracked him for such a long time, and I would have loved just to have you know, got that deal executed as soon as possible. And I think that's probably my frustration with Arsenal when it comes to transfers, is that we do seem to ponder and take too long. And eventually, you know, we sort of found ourselves in this position. However, I do have to agree, you know, the wages that he was offered for him personally was incredible. And if we can't match them, we can't match them. The way I see it is that we've got 3 big contracts we're trying to renew within our own club. And if we go and put MUDRYK at a certain level, it's then going to just throw everything out of balance.
Destabilize.
Yeah, exactly. We've spent 2-3 seasons now trying to, you know, get rid of the big earners that aren't contributing and get a team together full of, you know, humble individuals on good money for Premier League footballers, but not, you know, stupid money. And I think we finally got that. So to bring a player who originally, I think we agreed a contract for around 45 to 50 grand a week, roughly. For Chelsea to, you know, double that and some, it just would have been ridiculous in my opinion to do that. But yeah, it was just, like I say, it was just a weird transfer. It was weird seeing Dario Serna, who's the sporting director at Shakhtar, come and parade MUDRYK on the Chelsea pitch. You know, you would have thought it would have been the Chelsea sporting director and not the sporting director from the other club. So the whole thing was just weird. And he doesn't look too thrilled in his photos to begin with to be at Chelsea. Let's see.
No, well said. Now you make a good point. I mean, it's a tough one because I actually feel a little bit sorry for him, because I think it happens in football. Listen, players get called into the office or the manager's office. Yeah, a bid's been accepted for you, guy. Shakhtar said, in layman's terms, not to get too technical with it, let's be blunt about it. Yeah, Chelsea offered the money, you're gone. Yeah, we know you wanted to go to Arsenal. He did. The man. Listen, but you know what? If the club accept an offer from another club, you're gone. They're taking the money. They say, yeah, you're a good player. You're promising you're talented, but as they say, there's no loyalty in football, man. Take your money, take your money and run in it. So that's what's happened. I was quite philosophical about it in the sense that I thought, okay, he looks like he's going to go to Chelsea. I don't really listen. We're not Chelsea fans. I don't really get their spending. I think a lot of Chelsea fans probably feel the same as well. I don't get why Felix has gone there. I don't get this deal. They can talk about it. They've wanted him for a couple of years. I'm of a view that they did the deal because they didn't want Arsenal to have him, as opposed to more so. Yes, he's talented, and we need to get him in, because Chelsea, like us and like many other clubs, there's other areas of our squad that we need to strengthen. That was not a priority for them. So if they want to pay over the odds, good luck to them, and we move. That's what I said at the time, and I stick by what I say. And one more thing to finish up before we move on to the next thing. I said this yesterday. I want to big up Tom for letting me come in his channel yesterday. If anybody remembers the Adidas interview with Ian Wright and Mikel Arteta during COVID, one of the things he did say, and it sticks to my mind at the time with the MUDRYK thing, he said, look, if you have to convince a player to come to Arsenal, then there's no conversation to be had. And those weren't the exact words, but to that kind of sentiment, I'm like, you know what? We went for him. He's not our player no more, so we don't have to worry about that.
And that proves the point. Sorry to cut you, mate, but it proves the point, doesn't it? That his desire to move to the Premier League was greater than to wait for 6 months or however long, and eventually join Arsenal. So like you say, if he doesn't want to really join us, then I would wish him good luck. But unfortunately, he plays for Chelsea, so I hope he crashes and burns.
Yeah, I think. You know what else as well? I think there is a much bigger situation at play as well. Yeah. And I know, like we're in the field of talking football, but I think we also have to understand that there is a conflict going on in that part of the world, and it has massively affected Shakhtar Donetsk and their ability to actually sell their foreign players. So there was a huge amount of pressure on the club to get literally the most they could get for MUDRYK, because he is literally one of their only sellable assets. So I think that was at play. But also, I think if you look at some of the headlines that are coming out from some very reliable journalists in some big tabloid papers today, percentage of that fee that's going to Shakhtar is actually going, to fund certain charitable, programs to aid Ukraine's. So I wouldn't be surprised if the guy had more than just Shakhtar's pressure on his shoulders. He might even had a call from the president to say, "Listen, buddy, we need this money. So you're on your way to London. It might not be the red of Arsenal, but it's going to be the blue of Chelsea," and that's that, because the guy genuinely looked annoyed outside of them, So, I mean, it's all a bit of speculation, but
you make a good point. I believe that.
Like Ray said, I think this was a very complex deal for lots of reasons. And in a way, as much as I was really annoyed at him and really annoyed at the fact that we missed out and so forth, I think when I'm starting to look at all the pieces that are falling into place, I'm thinking, you know what, it's probably best that we did distance ourselves from this deal.
Yeah. Now listen, as I said, man, we move. We'll touch on transfers again towards the end. Don't worry about that. Trust me. But yeah, sort of bit of a gear change. Not Arsenal related, but something I sort of kind of was. Obviously, Saturday the sort of the round of games at like about 3:00 were done. I looked at the Premier League table, and in the bottom three, Everton and West Ham. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, I'm going to start with Ray first, sort of with the Everton situation. To me, that's the most obvious one for me, right? Now, I went to the last game of the season against when Arsenal played Everton. Obviously, disappointment of what happened with Newcastle, but I've got to be honest. I thought the Everton side were awful, and I thought it was very lucky to they'd already mathematically stayed up by the time we played them. But I thought they was awful, and I said, you know what, they are going to struggle next season coming into this season, and actually it's even worse than what I thought it was going to be. You know, the mini form.
Yeah.
I don't think them and West Ham haven't won in 6. You've heard the stuff in terms of the Everton fans being deeply unhappy. That it's probably gone a little bit too far. I mean, I listened to one of the Everton fans talk on one of the phone shows because there's obviously the stuff I'm talking about. I remember because I watched Match of the Day, and I thought, you know, when you hear something, you think, did I hear what I just think I just heard? So I had to rewind it back, talking about, you know, the chief exec and headlocks. I'm like, no, this cannot be right. This can't be right. But even the Everton fans said, look, the media's gone away. The media ran with that headline, and because you're thinking to yourself, that can't be happening. Even in a club that's in crisis, you know, people getting physically assaulted or restrained. I thought that can't be right. And I actually probably more so believed in terms of the Everton fan coming out saying that, because as Arsenal fans, we hear stuff and we're like, yeah, you know what, that's kind of media driven or whatever. But yeah, Everton, I coming to Dreyfus, I don't know where they go, because when you go through it, now I understand the money thing because they've had money thrown at it. That's a big difference. But a lot of Everton fans who will go into a bit more deeper to say, look, that the issue is not that they have spent money, but in terms of some of the people that are on the hierarchy really shouldn't be there, or they should have more of an input or whatever. But I look at the manager situation. I mean, I don't know if I heard it right. Is it 7 managers in about 7-8 years?
Wouldn't surprise me.
I mean,
they went from having David Moyes for such a long time.
Come in. Yeah.
Yeah, they went from having David Moyes for such a long time, didn't they? So stable and so well run, to, you know, all of a sudden spending money like it's going out of fashion and just making poor decision after poor decision. It's a bit of a strange one, Albert. Obviously, you gave us a heads up that you wanted to talk about Everton and West Ham. So I spent my lunch break earlier doing a bit of research on Everton. I have no idea. And my word, what a mess.
It is. It's awful.
What a mess. You know, where do you start? I mean, like you say, off the pitch, it's turmoil. They lost their most reliable goal scorer in Richarlison, who we'll probably discuss a bit further later. But they lost him to Spurs, didn't they? And have they really replaced him? Not really, in my opinion. So yeah, you look at them and you think, they've got kind of like moments players, you know, they've got players that can, Damari Gray or whoever, that can just get a goal out of nothing. But he'll do that 2 or maybe twice a season, and that's kind of it. If they can keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit, then they might have a goal scorer there. But boy, you know, his injury record's terrible.
Yeah,
and
sorry, let me come in. Sorry, it's. I mean, I like even from the people talk about stability in football, and even just from the manager's point of view, I was going through it earlier today, and even a few weeks ago, I was like, I'm trying to think in chronological order. They've had Marco Silva, Koeman, Ancelotti, Allardyce, Roberto Martinez. They've got Lampard now. I don't know what they listen. We're not even Everton fans, but I find it very, very difficult to make a case for him to still be there in the next few games. Ray, come back in. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he should be there, but I don't think at the same time, I don't think he's the main issue, really, in my opinion. No. The problem is they go from one strategy to another. You just list all them different managers there. They all play different styles, right? You know, so how can you transition to one style, then that doesn't work, and you try and get another style in. And with all the managers, they bring in all the expensive players, and eventually Everton are just a graveyard of just, you know, expensive rejects. Let's be honest. I do feel sorry for them because, you know, they're exactly, and we've got that record as well of never being relegated from the top division, and it's you know, it's an amazing record. I would say Everton actually just need a relegation, just a clean break, you know, just absolutely just wash the decks. But
they're a big club, Everton, man. Like, I'm, you know, I'm a guy of a certain age. I probably wasn't alive to see Everton win the league, but I was alive, but I just wouldn't have remembered it. But they listen, going back to the 80s, mid to late 80s, that's some players, man. I cannot believe where this football club is at the moment.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I absolutely hear what you're saying. And the reason why they can't get relegated is because of the stadium they want to build. That's the reason why they can't. However, I have seen teams like Newcastle and Aston Villa go down. And all right, you know, the Championship is a hell of a league, and it's not a given that you come straight back up. But these teams have gone down, managed to sort of rebrand themselves and then come back up again and stabilise and then go from there. Because at the moment, all they're doing is just relegation battle. Maybe they just need a season where they actually have some sort of success, where they do, you know, win more games than they lose, and you know, hopefully for them they come up again. But obviously, yeah, I fully hear what you're saying. They are a massive club.
Yeah, G, coming to you, like they've one win in 13 in all comps. I looked at their stuff. I mean, I think the fact they lost to a relegation battle inside in Southampton, who are still bottom, by the way. I mean, I looked at Everton's team, G. I mean, do you see a team that got a chance of staying? I mean, Pickford, Ben Godfrey, Connor Cody, Tarkowski, Coleman, Iwobi, Anana, Idris Gay, Mikalenko, Calvert-Lewin, Demire Gray, and then the bottom three. That's the last starting lineup the other day.
You asked, your original question was, where do Everton go from here? The answer is they go down. It's that simple. You know, we saw their decline last season.
Awful. That was terrible.
And they've started this season where they left off last season. There's been no improvement. If anything, they've just further declined. In terms of what they do, I mean, they are one of the three teams that I believe will go down at the end of the season. I think they scraped it last season. I don't think they scraped it this season. The only way I see that situation changing in such a short space of time is if they get rid of Lampard.
Yeah.
And if they bring in somebody. But
Sean
it's not about, it's not necessarily about bringing in a big name. It's about bringing in the right person for that club. And it's hard to pinpoint what that is. You know, it's hard to pinpoint and say, oh, this would be the manager to come in, or that would be the manager to come in. And in a way, I think they need to just go back to basics and just think, well, we're not necessarily bringing somebody in to, you know, survive this season, even though that's probably the obvious thing to think about because of the money situation if Everton get relegated. But I think if they bring somebody in, and if the next appointment they make, because I don't believe Lampard should be there in that job anymore, and I don't think he's going to be there very long. I think if you look at their next couple of fixtures, they're playing teams in and around them, and I don't see them getting results.
Well, good point. Coming on, I'm going to come back to you. Like even I look at,
don't see them getting results, bro.
I mean, some of the money. I mean, I think Yerry Mina cost about 35 million. They bought in Dwight McNeil. The Corey was about 20.
They bought Iwobi for 40 million.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That shows you how crazy their transfer strategy is. Whoever sanctioned, like, I'm happy, but whoever sanctioned that transfer should not have a job.
Yeah, it's mad for Arsenal to got that amount for him is insane. But yeah, I mean, I'm not being funny. I even look at it from the striker point of view. Before I move on to West Ham, I'll come back to you in a minute. You're struggling to score goals, and you buy Neil Maupay from Brighton. I cannot understand why you think this guy's going to get you the goals to shoot you up the league. To me, it's madness. If you look at that, if you honestly go for that Everton team, right? I'll even go through some of the subs from Saturday. Who's been a good acquisition for them? I mean, Dwight McNeil, I thought he's a decent player at Burnley, to be honest with you. Got to move to Everton. He's not in the team. Doucouré's on the bench. Mina's on the bench. I don't know if he was injured or not. Davis is on the bench. I think he's through their academy. Anthony Gordon was on the bench.
What happened to their Brazilian midfielder they had playing next to Doucouré? What was his name? Alan. Yeah,
he got shipped off, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm only even I don't remember him leaving, so I'm assuming he must be injured.
No, he left. I can't remember where he went, but I think he went to possibly the Middle East or somewhere. But he left. Yeah,
Does it all in it?
Yeah, the Everton. I mean, even the stuff off the pitch. I listened to some of the radio stuff in terms of. I don't want to see situations like where players are. Listen, you can't compensate for every fan because you don't know what they're going to do. As we saw yesterday, we're going to touch on. I saw the video of Yeremina talking to some of the fans. I think probably, I don't know if confronted is the right word, but he got out of the car to go and speak to them. But you got your kids in the car, from what I understand. You know, Anthony Gordon had a similar situation trying to leave the ground. Like, have your protest, that's fine. But I'm not comfortable with that because, listen, if you got it, when it's your family, it's a different conversation, isn't it? And you don't want to put yourself into that type of situation. I think a few years ago, when Mike Richards was still playing at Villa, and he tried to speak to some of the fans, I thought you know what, good on you, because the way Villa were playing at that time, I thought you'd be lucky if you get back to the changing room the way Villa were playing at that time. But I'm not cool with. Listen, I think. Listen, if you feel comfortable that you can talk to the fans, particularly in the situation that Everton are in at the moment, then do it. But I personally think from when directors are being advised to, stay away for their own safety, I'm like, But then even some Everton fans have come back and said, for example, like the time of the statement that came out, like if you come here and front it up, what's gonna? You think someone's gonna climb into the director's box? But obviously we heard about death threats and the rest of it. But come back in. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I think with the whole, I think the club is like, Ray touched upon and you've touched upon it. The club is an absolute mess, and I think if you were to look at it, it's not something that's, even though they were fighting relegation last season, they're fighting relegation this season. You can just see it though. It's the problem is it's just systematic. It's in the club. It's like just the way we looked at Arsenal for a period of time. It was just poor recruitment upon poor recruitment, high wages for bang average players, transfers that have not gone well. It's very similar. It's very similar in that it's just poor decisions being made by people in positions that ought to make better decisions. So, and it's a history of it, it's not one poor window or two poor windows. It's years of just bad decisions that have been made at the club. I'm not a fan of the way fans, and I'm not a fan of fans and footballers interacting.
Not like that.
Not like that at all. I think the only thing that saved, Yeremina is because he's about 6'7" and built like a whoa. I think if it was anybody else, I think they would have been in a bit of trouble. But as angry as you are at your club, I don't think there's many that are going to take on Yeremina, to be honest. But it wasn't nice because I watched the video. And it wasn't. I mean, it didn't deteriorate to anything worse than a conversation. But it was on a knife's edge. You felt like it was a very intense situation. At the same time, I think a lot of the Everton fans will probably have a lot of respect for him, to kind of go out of his way and have that conversation with them. Because, genuinely what we're seeing is we're just seeing fans that really love their club, lose their heads a little. And it's not something I would personally do. At the same time, and it's not something I would encourage players to interact with fans when that situation is so intense like that. At the same time, you just got a huge club, like you said, Albert, with a passionate fan base that just want the best for their club. And I don't think they're asking for much other than being, I think Everton fall into this bracket of a lot of teams. I think Villa is one of them. There's a couple of teams that they were doing well. They were consistently a Premier League side. And then it's almost like, they kind of want to go to the next step. And trying to go to the next step, they've almost like they've digressed and they've fallen further down. Because it's difficult to get to that next step. When you're a kind of a mid-table top 10 side, to get into the top 6, top 4, it's really, really difficult. It does involve having the right person, at the helm. And it does involve a lot of really, it involves investment and it involves the right investment. The problem is you go out there and you do that investment and you get it wrong. Well, you've got the situation that, the likes of Villa and Everton find themselves in now. It's big problems.
100%. Yeah, quickly, going to come to Ray now. See, with one of our London sort of rivals, or not direct rivals, but in West Ham. Now, that surprised me. I would not have called that where they are in the league now. I mean, I even looked at the starting lineup, Ray, and played in the last game. I think they lost to Wolves. Fabianski in goal, Kufal, Ogbonna, was that Allgard, Cresswell, Paqueta, Rice, Souček, Bowen, Antonio, 4-0. And then they're in the bottom. Again, they've not won in 6. They can't score goals. And I'm hearing that they want to move. Antonio might be moving. What's going on? I mean, like I said, I'm surprised where they are. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, that's crazy, that situation with West Ham. But unlike Everton, to me, that's 100% fixable this season.
Yeah.
Whether or not David Moyes can turn it around, or they need to part ways and bring somebody else in, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think they just need confidence because they look completely bereft of it. When we played them at the Emirates, obviously they went 1-0 up and they looked okay. Obviously they didn't really take the game to us. They got that penalty, didn't they? But they looked okay. And then in the second half, we just knocked the stuffing out of them. And I think it's a regular thing for West Ham. They just, as soon as they concede or whatever, they just the team just drops. So, in my opinion, it is fixable. Again, I'd probably maybe move Moyes on, but I think he's more than capable of keeping him up. But I think they've just got to adjust their expectations now. I think they've got to make sure they stay up, which the squad on paper, I know you say about goal scorers, but my word, they've got some talent in that team.
Good players.
Certainly enough to finish, top of the bottom half, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they've still got the Conference League as well, haven't they? So
I don't think they might coming out of that to stay in the Premier League, man. To be honest, but go on.
You'd be surprised though. I think again, what West Ham do is their business. But if you had a West Ham supporter on here, I wonder if they'd take a Conference League win and just about stay up rather than sort of now finish mid-table. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've backed the silverware West Ham, man. Trust me. G, come into your thoughts about.
You know what? Yeah, I got to be honest, man. I think, and I have my reasons why I say this. I think Lampard and Moyes, and don't get me wrong, I got a lot of respect for Moyes. He's been in the industry and the business a long time. Yeah. I think he's a very capable manager, but I think the media have gone absolutely gentle on both these gentlemen. Like, honestly, I just want to tell you something, West Ham finished 7th last season, and they spent 182 million euros in the summer. 182 million euros they spent. Money, and they're currently in the relegation zone or just above it or in a relegation.
They're in it.
I mean, I think the media are very lenient, and I have my reasons why I say that. I think, David Moyes goes back a long way with a lot of the kind of media outlets, the pundits and stuff like that. And he is a very likable chap. He's a likable guy. And I don't like when the media actually. So in a way, I kind of like that they've not gone too gun-ho on the likes of Moyes and Lampard, because I hate when the media kind of do this whole kind of trying to just, get rid of a manager.
They just save it for Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this is it.
We'll come on to that,
David Moyes,
This is why I say they've been light on him, because I'm thinking 7th place finish, you spend almost best part of 200 million euro. And like you said, you look at that team on paper, just look at the names, Antonio, they just bought Scamacca,
one on the bench. He's on the bench.
Scamacca was one of the most sought after strikers in that transfer window. You've got Paqueta, who many Arsenal fans lost their minds that we never signed. So, yeah, man, it's a problem, man. I don't think West Ham go down. I think they survive. But I think West Ham, again, are another team that fall into that bracket of maybe trying to, and West Ham fans might not like me saying this, but trying to punch above their weight. Get a little bit, and listen, clubs have to be ambitious. They're a business. They're a football club. They have to be ambitious. Yeah. But it is very difficult when you're trying to go from one level to another level. You pump loads of money, hundreds of millions of pounds into the transfer market. For whatever reason, those players don't bed in. They don't work out. you know, for whatever reason, you hit a bit of bad form. Now all of a sudden, you know, you're in a relegation battle. So we've seen many a team try, you know, to level up and get into that top 6, that top 4, and actually digress. And I think West Ham are one of them. I don't think they will go down. Similar to what? Well, I'm saying Everton will go down. West Ham, for me, I think they'll. I'm not sure where they'll finish. So I think it was very interesting what Ray said about the Conference League. I'm really not sure. I don't think they'll finish top half of the table, but I think they will survive come the end of the season.
Listen, it's mad, and obviously, as people may know already, they play each other next.
Huge game
next on Saturday. Yeah, so I said to I know a young lady who's a West Ham fan, and I said, if you've got a spare tenner, it's going to be a draw. It's got a draw written all over it. They both can't score for toffee. They both can't defend, hence the reason why they're in the position they're in. So I think it'd be a draw, which is not going to suit either of them.
Let me ask you. I'll ask you. I'll flip the script now, Albert. Seeing as you're the host, so who are your 3 teams to go down?
Oh, before the start of the season, none of these 2. Southampton.
As things stand now,
I still think Southampton. I know they got a win, but no, I can't see that. They just leak too many goals. West Ham will stay up. Everton, I'm not sure. I thought it's been even worse than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
honestly, I thought it was bad last season, but this is something else. And if you cannot score goals in this league, it gives you a problem. Brighton play some of the best football under Potter, by the way. Sorry,
yeah,
couldn't score for toffee. Drew so many games that they turned around with Roberto De Zerbi in his short time there. It's done brilliant, but if you can't score goals in this league, G man, you're in problems. Need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. It's not easy to do, and unfortunately, with both of them, that's why they're in the bottom 3. As well as
15 days to find a striker, Everton. Really.
Well, yeah, big up to you guys for that, man. People, smash the like button, and if you just joined the stream, and subscribe to the channel and follow my esteemed guests in their boxes with their Twitter handles on the screen. But before we get into the main part of Weekly Surgery, we'll be back after this short intro, people. Audio listeners, if you're wondering what that funky disco music was, it was an intro to subscribe to Albert J TV. So don't panic, people. It's all good. Right. Major talking point. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 2. Just checking before we went live, I was asking the guys, I think this is the first time we've done a double over Tottenham since 2013, 2014. It's been a long wait to go to that ground or to go Tottenham away and win. So absolutely buzzing. This team has been given test after test after test, and Arsenal have come through every single one of them. I wasn't even sure how to start this section because I thought I'd be all over the place because we're doing so well and we're winning games and, you know, top of the league and looking down on our rivals, and Holly's crying into her car seat and the rest of it, and all the other Tottenham fans we know, Patrick Tyrants tweeting every 5 seconds, all them kind of people. But listen, the game in isolation, which is hard to say on the run of form that we're on. I actually went for a draw, I believe. I went for a 1-1 draw, I think it was. I went for a draw, sort of prediction before the game. Coming to Ray first again. I know how you felt because we messaged each other before the game. Yeah. I mean, I'm quite calm, actually, believe it or not, as a fan when it comes to big games, particularly derby games. Anyway, when you're playing Tottenham, but I always thought, Ray, there was, as I put in my title, actually, my fan cam for Mo, and window of opportunity. And there's 2 ways I'm going to explain that. But yeah, how was you feeling sort of an hour before the game, mate?
Stressed. Absolutely stressed. No, it's a weird one because normally when we play at White Hart Lane or whatever they call that place now, the moment we finish our last fixture before that game, I'm stressed. I'm nervous. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it. It's like going to the dentist. I just want it over and done with, you know. but this time was different. This time, the days leading up to it, I was quite calm. I wasn't panicking, nervous at all. In fact, I was looking forward to the game. And it was only on the morning of the game that's when the nerves really kicked in for me. So, yeah, I think that sort of says it all really. And yeah, when the game actually happened and kicked off, yeah, we looked absolutely brilliant, really, didn't we? They had no answer for us, and especially in that first half. And yeah, I don't know more to say, to be honest. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, before I come to G, I was like, so back to you again, Ray. Like, even though I know you said you felt nervous, did you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say? But and also as well, like, was you a bit more, I'd say confident? Yeah, because like I said, our away form has been impeccable this season. I think we ranked first in like kind of all 6 metrics in terms of you know, percentage behind, percentage going ahead, wins, goals, clean sheets. We're brilliant. So did you feel a bit more confident, or you still feel nervous as you did?
Well, out of 10, it was probably a 6 or a 7, to be honest.
That's all right. Yeah,
and that's because of our record there. That's purely it.
Awful.
But you know, we're a lot better side this year, because you know, considering how we went there last year and got taken apart, we're a lot better. So that calmed me down. I just assumed they'd get their dodgy penalty, which I thought they were going to get on the stroke of half time. But you know, they didn't. I thought we'd done really well with Kane. I thought Gabriel,
100%,
Saliba, phenomenal. I know obviously Ramsdale. I think it was 7 shots faced and 7 shots saved. He was obviously outstanding, but you know, I haven't heard too many mentions for our centre backs. So the fact they kept Kane relatively quiet. I know he had a couple of chances, but relatively quiet for Kane, I thought was brilliant. I love the work of Zinchenko. He seemed to just run the game from left back, didn't he? And then what we've seen all season with Saka, Martinelli, our midfield as a unit looks insane. I think maybe player for player, you could argue that there's probably better players in the league, but you can't argue that as a 3 that they are the best 3 in the league this season in midfield. You've got a bit of everything in there. And Thomas Partey's shot had have
oh my God. Wow.
That could have been one of the all-time great North London derby goals, couldn't it?
You know what? You know what? It's not going to help because it obviously didn't go in. But I watched it. I think to myself, please let that goal just go in, man. That was unbelievable. That was an unbelievable strike. Oh my!
That's one of those goals that it's going to sound stupid, but if that goes in, I'm saying we're winning this game. There is no way we are losing when we've scored a goal like that.
Like that. Yeah.
And then Saka, Martinelli were absolutely phenomenal. We saw Saka really take apart Sessegnon. That was their weak link. I was really hoping they'd play Emerson Royale on the other side, and Martinelli could just. G said you were cooking some chicken earlier on, but certainly we could have cooked him up yesterday as well.
Trust me.
And a big shout out to Nketiah as well. I know he didn't get his goal. I know he had some chances.
Yeah,
but
he led the line well. Yeah.
If Gabriel Jesus had that performance, I think we'd be singing his praises. Do you know what I mean? Even though he didn't score, his link up and how he sort of brought us into the game, how we were able to get the ball up to him, and he was able to win fouls and give us a breather at times, I thought was phenomenal. So full credit to the lads, and it's just like I say, it's just amazing to win that game.
Gee, coming to you. As you guys are aware, I went onto my YouTube Tottenham Wives channel for the preview, and I'm no body language expert. I'm no Judy James with Behind the Big Brother scenes, trust me. But if people know Judy James, they'll know what I'm talking about. But I could sense it with Holly. I could sense it with Wes. I could sense it with Holly from the BBC. I could sense the trepidation in their voices. Yeah. I could sense it. I could see it because they're thinking, okay. The only thing they could have hung on to was, like Ray mentioned, the fact that we ain't won away to Tottenham League in 9 years. But that first half performance, G, I didn't see that coming. Away from home against your bitter rivals, not won there in 9 years. How impressed was you in that first half, man?
It was phenomenal, man. Absolutely dominant. And you could smell the fear amongst the Spurs fan base, because in recent years, when it comes to that game, even before the game, I've got people WhatsApping me and sending me stuff saying they're looking forward to it, because I think in recent years they've fancied their chances against us, obviously at home. And this year there was nothing. There was nothing on the eve of the game. There was nothing during the game, and there was nothing after the game, obviously. But the performance, you know what? I'm still a bit of a product of the recent trauma of being an Arsenal fan, because
it's true.
Even though we've been so good this season, I still go into these games feeling like, oh God, this is going to be the moment when we kind of come unstuck. And every single time, they just prove me wrong. Like, they literally prove me wrong. Now, you said you didn't see that performance. I mean, I didn't see that performance, but when you actually think about it, why? Because they've done it every single. If you look back at all the 18 games we've played, I don't think there is a single one of those matches, including the defeat to Man United, and when we dropped points, I think against, maybe was it Southampton or Leeds, we dropped points against.
We drew Leeds away when 0-0, didn't we?
Yeah. If you look at all
we
those
beat Leeds
games,
If
you look at all those 18 games, including when we drew to Newcastle, including when we lost at Old Trafford, we've been the better side in literally almost every single match. Even the ones when we've dropped points. You look, we went away to Stamford Bridge, beat Chelsea. We went to Selhurst Park on the opening day of the season. Everyone said we would struggle. We beat them. Brentford beat them. So I mean, the evidence is there. The team has been performing consistently. So in many ways, we should have expected the performance on Sunday, but for whatever reason, I was still nervous. The performance itself, I think Ray summarized it perfectly. I think it was just brilliant. I think it's unfair to pinpoint particular players, because I think it was a brilliant team performance. From Ramsdale to the defense, to the midfielders, to the strike force. I think they all played their part in what was a phenomenal first half performance. Probably one of, I wouldn't necessarily say the best performance or best half of this season, but definitely up there. I mean, I've seen people come with the narrative of, the only reason why you won the game was because Ramsdale, pulled off some saves and he was man of the match. And I don't get this. I mean, every single team that's on top of the league at any given time, or is considered a good side, or is on a consistent run of form, has to have somebody between the sticks that you can call upon. So I don't get this narrative. It's like there's always an excuse when Arsenal win, or an excuse when we win a particular game. And I just think, whatever. At the end of the day, this is a team. Oops, just dropping my laptop. This is a team sport, and our defense has proven just how good we are. We've got the second best defense, third best defense in the league. So Ramsdale has gone through periods, this season where he's done very little, literally hardly any shots on goal, doesn't have anything to do. It's a derby game. Spurs are going to have their moments. When they did have their moments, Ramsdale was up to it, and he performed equally as good as the rest of the players on that pitch. So, they can say what they want. They can come with whatever narrative. It was an absolutely brilliant performance from every single player on that pitch.
No, well said, G. Ray, coming back to you again, I think for me, and anybody that's seen my content or being on other channels, I think one thing for me with Arsenal, and I've got sick to the back teeth of some of our away games where we've gone and just got pummeled. We haven't been in the games. We've been out the games in the first 15, 20 minutes. We don't even get a draw. Our record was very well documented in terms of the times we've gone away against the big six in inverted commas and done nothing. So that's one of the improvements I wanted to see. So it's interesting when we play Liverpool, because I've got to be honest, when we beat them, that meant everything to me, because some of the Liverpool fans make me sick, and I'll go on record saying that. Not all of them, I like some of them, but it's been the case for years. But I know going into that game at the Emirates, even though we started the season well, there was that underbelly confidence. I will still beat Arsenal anyway, even though they've done well.
Yeah.
So when we did beat them, they're like, oh, this is a bit different. Going to Chelsea away this season, to me, we have to win that game. If we're going to be taken, if we're going to be taken seriously, and two, again, to make another statement, we went and done that. Clean sheet as well, by the way. All our 7 London derbies this season, we won all 7.
Yeah,
twice against Tottenham. Let me make that point again. Twice against Tottenham. But so yeah, Ray, I think for me that's the thing that impressed me the most. And I get what G's saying in terms of when we went there yesterday. I think what Tottenham fans were hanging on to is the fact that our record's so poor there. But actually, if you look at our season in terms of our away form, which I did say to Holly and the other 2 Tottenham guests, we've been exceptional, and that showed in the first half. It's men against boys. How impressed was you, mate? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, very much so. It was, wasn't it? We, like I said before, I thought we were brilliant in that first half. And Tottenham play like that. They have to go 1 or 2 goals down to start playing. It's really weird. And we used to play a bit like that under Unai Emery, where the games used to sort of get away from us, and then we'd sort of resurge. But yeah, like you say, the Liverpool game was massive for us.
Yeah, huge.
I was there in the North Bank, first row, right behind the goal. I couldn't actually watch when Saka took that penalty. I had to turn around because it was mad, and I was very worse aware after that game, I think, as you might remember.
Yeah,
yeah, but even the games like Brighton away, I don't think we've beaten Brighton away since they've been in the Prem. I might be wrong. But
only that was. I think that was only the second win that I can remember. I think it was just 2. Yeah.
Yeah, and again for majority of the game, I know you sort of hanging on in the end, but I thought we went there and absolutely battered them. You see what they do to other teams that have been there.
Yeah, it's a tough place to go. Tough place to go.
We went to Brentford, and again that we made that game look easy. They took us apart the opening game of last season, didn't they? And really embarrassed us. Crystal Palace opening game of this season for us. We know what that was like, that away game when we lost that last season.
Yeah.
Awful. So, like you guys have mentioned, we're coming up against these sides that have, really caused us trauma in the past.
That's a good word. It's true. It's so true.
It's weekly surgery, so it's full on trauma. But like I say, we're coming up against these sides, and we're showing what we're all about, and we're overcoming these tests, and like I say, we've got another big one coming up.
Very much so.
But yeah, let's just keep doing what we're doing and trying to prove the doubters wrong.
No, well said. It's so true, man. Like I said it yes on Tom's channel, man. You guys, I'm sure you guys will agree, and the Arsenal fans in the chat. It's a different Arsenal, man. Like I said, that first half performance yesterday. If a certain team who playing Sky Blue put in that performance, it'd be on the front and back pages. Listen, passings into the final third, touches in the opposition box. He was killing Tottenham yesterday. Even but I don't agree with Paul Merson most of the time, but he was on form yesterday, man.
Yeah,
and
he was so confident before the game.
I always want to beat Tottenham anyway. And even I was checking the BBC score predictions. Chris Sutton, he actually went Arsenal 3-0. I said, what? Chris Sutton?
Yeah,
he's close, but James Redknapp was just get me started. But anyway, yeah, just like I said, I think for me, and when I come back to G again, when I'm talking about window of opportunity, and I'm talking about in-game here, so. Games like that, stay in the game within the first 15. Don't concede.
Yep.
Start well. Be on the front foot. Control the midfield. Get the goal, which we did do. Listen, I'm going to say this, right? And it was a tale of 2 goalkeepers in the way, if you look at it. But listen, I don't need to watch Tottenham every week to see Hugo Lloris play. I've seen him play for years. For France and Tottenham. So if the Tottenham lot want to cry now about, we need a new goalkeeper, I was telling you that years ago. But you come back, he's a World Cup winner, so I don't care. Paul Pogba's a World Cup winner. Go and ask certain sections of you Man United fans what they really think of him. Don't come back and tell me about World Cup winners. That's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. You need a new goalkeeper. But Gino, come back to the main point. Yeah, window of opportunity. So we go 1-0. That second goal, Gary Neville called it right in the commentary. He absolutely called it right. They're there for the taking, man.
Yeah.
So to get that second goal 10 minutes before half time, crucial.
Yeah.
Come in, man. Come in.
It is crucial. And I think, you know what? It's like, I think if you look at Odegaard, you know, seeing as he was the one that got it, I mean, he's got the same amount of goal contributions in goals and assists as Kevin De Bruyne has, and he's played one less game.
Okay.
I mean, that, you know, we're talking about Kevin De Bruyne having a phenomenal season, having an absolute, like, you know, insane, like, cyborg hybrid striker up top in Haaland.
Yeah.
You know, and for, you know, I think that Odegaard came under a lot of criticism when he joined the club after his loan spell. I thought one of them wasn't massively overwhelmed by the signing, but what you've seen is he's been given the captain's armband, and progressively he's just got better and better and better. And now he's, you know, particularly this season, he's added goals to his game. I mean, he's just phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's on form, probably the best, you know, midfielder or attacking or offensive midfielder in the league, you know, in terms of the way he's playing. You know, this is why I say, like, sometimes I don't understand why I'm nervous going into these games, because, you know, over the course of 18 games, we're top of the league. We're 8 points clear. And it's not an accident. It's not, you can't even say we're on a run.
And still not enough credit.
Yeah, it's like, it's 18 games, man. We're at the half point of the season, and we are untouchable at the moment. We're playing the best football. You know, we've got the best away record. We're brilliant at home. We're not conceding goals. We're scoring goals. And when you look at, you know, you're talking about Haaland's got 20-odd goals. Look at where our goals are coming from. They're coming from all over the pitch.
Yeah.
You know, I would much rather have 21 goals between 3 frontmen than 20 goals for one man, because it just shows you what a team we are. And that, yes, Eddie never scored, but guess what? He might score against United. You know, we're not looking to one player. Everybody said we would fall off when Jesus got injured. And to be fair, I was really concerned. Eddie's come in, he scored goals, and even though he didn't score against Spurs, he played very, very well.
He played well. Yeah,
he did play well. So yeah, man, it is a different team. It really, really is a different team. And I think the one thing that massively impressed me, and a lot impressed me with that performance, but the one thing that is impressing me with this Arsenal team against Spurs, but also in other big games, is when the opposition have their moments, we're not conceding. Like, we're actually not conceding. It's like, and that is crucial, you know, because there was a moment in that game where, you know, we were 2-0 up. Tottenham were in the ascendancy, and we didn't concede, you know, and that was mainly due to Ramsdale, but it wasn't just Ramsdale. There were several times when Saliba, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Ben White stood up and were counted, and they defended brilliantly, you know, during that match. You know, this is the Premier League. It's unrealistic to believe or think that you're not going to give the opposition chances, or the opposition are not going to get chances. This is the most elite football probably across Europe. And so, you know, teams are going to have their moments in across the 90 minutes. They're going to have chances. The issue is you got to try and limit those chances. And when they get them, you know, you got to be up to it. Your centre backs, or your goalkeeper's got to be up to the challenge, and that's what you saw. But most importantly, we didn't concede, because there was a moment when we were 2-0 up. I think, you know, Tottenham were in the ascendancy. Eddie missed, you know, what was a really good chance, and I thought, if Spurs get a goal here, you know, they've proven it time and time again this season, they can come back. But you know what? We stood firm. We got through, and it was literally 10 minutes or so. We got through it, and we eased our way to the final whistle. Absolutely eased our way to the final whistle. Apart from that 10 minutes in that second half, away to our North London rivals at home. If you can limit your North London rivals at home to 10 minutes in a game, what are you moaning about? Absolute dominance. Absolute dominance.
No, you're right. Arsenal, listen, the second half went how I thought it would. Tottenham would have to come out and play better than that, because I thought I was surprised that Session started. If I'm being honest, I thought Perisic would start, but that's on them. But yeah, Arsenal had to dig in, which was going to be the case at some point in that match, especially after the first 45 minutes. So pleased for the guys, man. But I'm going to touch on one obviously not great thing towards the end of the game when it finished, and then we'll touch on the transfer slightly a little bit. I spoke to you earlier, and obviously we saw the game. We saw the incident when I don't know what Richarlison was on yesterday on the bench when he came on. I don't know what that was about. But listen, I saw a tweet. You guys would have seen it because it's done the rounds for some Tottenham account. I don't know how many followers it's got, but almost condoning what the Tottenham fan done to Ramsdale. And I got to think to myself, listen, we're Arsenal fans. We love Arsenal. We want to do well, but this is a game of football. So you think it's okay for a guy to come down from row Z and not attempt to kick a professional footballer in the back? You think that's okay? You're endorsing that because you're a Tottenham fan. Are you serious? And even some of the guys that found it hilarious behind the goal. That's acceptable. Because that's what you're telling me. It's okay to come on the pitch and come and do that. It happens in football matches where rival fans give the goalkeepers preferably a lot of stick because obviously they're in one position. But I don't see anything that Ramsdale did that was actually that awful. No. I mean, he kissed the badge. If you're going to give it, you got to take it. But for those who found it funny, shame on you. If you think that's okay for that to happen. After what you've seen with stuff with the Everton stuff outside the ground, you think that's okay for a fan to come on the pitch and do that? You're condoning that. Madness to me. So yeah, I hope they find him and put him in prison, do whatever they have to do. There's not too much to say. I'll get your thoughts quickly, but we'll move on. G, come to you first.
Yeah, first of all, touching on Richarlison, he's just not a very nice person.
No.
To be honest. And I'm sure he is to maybe his family and friends. And I'm a strong believer in, being competitive, but come on, there is a line.
Yeah.
And even when he wasn't on the pitch, you could say, obviously sometimes emotions get the best of you. Sometimes they spill over. But even if you saw his interaction with Tomiyasu on the touchline, it was just, it's just disgusting. Like just his demeanor, just the way he carries himself. Like, and you know what? I got to big up my guy from the Armory TV, Silver Fox Tony. He actually said when a lot of gooners were linking us and wanting us to get him in the summer, he actually said, I don't want him anywhere near my club.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. 100% agree.
And it was literally for that reason. It was his temperament. It was his demeanor. It was his attitude. It was just the way he carried himself. I hadn't watched a huge amount of him. I thought he was a little bit petulant, but I've really seen it since he's been at Spurs. We've seen more poor behavior than we've seen goals from Richarlison this season. So that kind of sums it up. And I think a lot of his frustration was that. I mean, he refused to shake the hands of Gabriel and Martinelli. It's just bad. And I think in many ways, the media are very quick to say, Arsenal can't control their players, and things are spilling over because Arteta is the reason.
Let me come in quickly. Let me come in quick and I'll come back to you. Yeah, because I didn't know that when I was on Tom's channel. It's only when someone put it in the chat, said about Richie Keys. So I thought, because I didn't know what happened. So I've obviously seen it now. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I can't believe. I mean, I thought it's bad enough when we beat Fulham. I just thought he'd come across very unprofessional when he's talking about Arteta. But when I heard what I heard yesterday, I said he's blaming Mikel Arteta for as a possible reason why the fan went and kicked Ramsdale in the back. You could not make this.
It's just madness. It's madness. And you know what's crazy about it as well is that the FA need to look at Richarlison's incident with Ramsdale, because I think it was on 2 occasions in a very short space of time. He went to hit him. He put his hand in the man's face. That needs to be looked at. If you're going to be looking at Arsenal appealing for a penalty, trying to get a penalty where there was a clear handball in the box, and you're going to fine us like 40 odd K or whatever it is you fined us, then you've got to be looking at that incident. In terms of the Spurs fan kicking Ramsdale, I mean, I think you've kind of summarized it. It's absolutely disgusting. It's appalling, and I don't understand how any rational, mature, sensible human being, on this planet could actually take to a platform with that type of following, because they do have a decent following.
Yeah,
actually try to condone that type of action. It's completely unacceptable. What you have to understand is we are fans of football clubs. At the same time, these players, yes, we want them to love the club, but ultimately they're at work.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of somebody walking into my office and kicking me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad.
Completely unacceptable. Like, Ramsdale is literally on the pitch doing his job. It's that he loves. It's a job he enjoys. He's a player that we all adore. But take the emotional side out of it. He's at work and he's been assaulted by somebody in his place of work. So I'm going to be very interested to see what the police and what the FA do in this situation, because even the headlines for me are not even acceptable. The headlines are incident. The headlines are altercation. I'm like, this is not an incident or an altercation. This is an assault.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very interesting how the media are taking a certain angle on this. So let's see what happens. I think it's too public for them to not deal with it accordingly. Yeah. But let's see what they actually do.
No, it's interesting. I'm coming to Ray. Yeah, I saw a certain top. They're talking about them, obviously the Ramsdale thing and whatever. And G's right about the narrative thing, because it's like, oh, but Ramsdale, should he, like, is he inciting or should? I'm like, are you guys serious? But anyway, and I remember I saw a comment by someone under one of the TalkSport sections. Right, he said about the media bias against Arsenal is unreal. It's unbelievable. By the way, I'm a Leeds fan.
Yeah.
A Leeds fan, someone of common sense can see what's been the narrative that's been portrayed. Come in, Ray, mate. Come in.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of reminds me this season that the media really do hate
us. Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely hate us.
I mean, right? They hate us.
Even Gary Neville yesterday,
oh my
game, was saying, "Oh, he doesn't see us." All right, if you don't see us as favourites, that's your opinion. But to just completely dismiss us as well, I just thought was really disingenuous. And for a guy that's meant to have the knowledge of the game, I just think is baffling. As for the Richard Keys thing, I know we touched on it there. Again, shocking opinion in my how I see it. Arteta was actually trying to drag our players away, get them out of the situation. So how he's incited that is beyond me.
It's crazy.
I get that. Not that it's that we should condone it at all. It's disgusting. You should never, you should never assault anyone.
No.
Like you say, it's his place of work. Bang out of order. But I get in a North London derby, emotions are running high, and it's not excusable, but you can be on the edge. And like you said, Albert, if you're gonna dish it out, because I'm sure I don't know how many 25,000 of people behind that goal.
Yeah, probably.
And one man, I'm sure they're dishing it out to him in that second half. So, like you say, Richarlison comes over and is, still just in his ear. That's winding people up. You get their other players and whoever else come in. I thought the Tottenham stewards were awful in that.
Rubbish.
One of them was looking straight at him. Seeing come as soon as he makes a beeline to stand on the advertising board. You got to poleaxe him.
Yeah.
Why he's even got that far is beyond me. But going back to the what you said about the media agenda, it is what it is. If people don't like us, then that's their thing. I know we've got a lot of Arsenal pundits out there that do. I absolutely loved Ian Wright's reaction. It's a great day.
It's been like that
It's
guy,
a great day. Yeah, what a man, honestly. You know, we've got plenty of other people in our corner as well. You know,
Yeah,
for everyone that's that doesn't want to see us succeed, you know, there are people that do. You know, your Laura Woods, you know, your Ian Wrights. There's loads more, but I can't think off the top of my head. But you know what I mean. You know.
Yeah, of course.
If we boil people's piss, then so be it. Let's continue to do it.
Yeah, it's true. Listen, you see that fan that done that, yeah? Now you guys are fully aware well where I live. I live in Millwall territory. That you see that guy that done that, yeah? If that happened at that stadium, he would never have made it back to where he was. So he's lucky. There's certain guys that would
he was doing the Eric Dyer on the way back. He was, you know, just going.
Can you imagine? Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
But yeah, now you guys, great opinions about everything. But we're going to ask you guys one more quick thing before we go. Big up to people in the chat. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Welcome back to Weekly Surgery, man. It's been a while, people. But like I said, episode 18. Transfer window. So what are we? January 16th today, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be clear and transparent as I can be. You won't see me whip up a storm on social media because I'd rather just do it on my channel and whatever and say it at once. I'm concerned about the transfer window. I'll be honest. You know, we're halfway through. We went through the same scenario as fans in January last year when we didn't cement our top 4 place by strengthening, and they came out with the reasons they came out with. Okay, cool. But then go and get top 4, you don't get it. We don't get it, sorry. We're going for a league title. I get it. Some people, because Tom done a phoning show. He said some Arsenal fans were furious with Edu. You can't label it Arteta, right? Because on one instance, you can't go, "Oh, Arsenal were fantastic for bringing in Fabio Vieira. Nobody saw it coming," and I didn't see it coming. But I'm concerned. I've got to be honest. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the biggest, most concerned, I'm probably about a 7, if I'm being honest. I hope with any transfer strategy, January, the summer, that there's a plan B and a plan C. We cannot. This team have done fantastically well, and with European football, by the way, which is even more credit to Arsenal for the way they've maintained this league form. But we need some help. We need some help. So, guys, where are you sort of on the scale of 1 to 10 in terms of the January transfer window and how worried you are? Coming to G.
Yeah, I am concerned. You know, it looked almost certain that we were going to sign MUDRYK.
Holly, the Tottenham YouTube, sorry, audio listeners, my Tottenham YouTube wife is in the chat. Holly, you say good evening, please be nice. I'll think about it. G, come back here, come here, G, come here.
Yeah, it looked almost certain that we were going to sign MUDRYK. And when it did, I thought we were in a really good place because it seemed just a matter of time before we got that, you know, that player over the line. For me, it then would have left another 15 days or so to then maybe get a midfielder in who I think. So for me, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a forward player and a midfielder. I think we need a player to come in and compete for, you know, the areas of right and left wing.
Yeah.
And we need a centre mid for me that can come in and do. I'm not saying we're going to go out there and buy a like for like in terms of Partey, but, you know, we need somebody that can come in my opinion, that can do a better job than what El Nene or Sambi can do in that position. I don't feel like the number 8 is as desperate because I've seen, you know, I think ESR's coming back. He can play there. I think we've seen Vieira deputized there when Xhaka went off injured against Wolves. So I don't see that area as desperate for this window. But in terms of the 6 and in terms of the wide forward areas, I desperately think we need 2 players. Now, don't get me wrong. We can win this league with the team we've got because we've proven over the 18, 19 games we're 8 points clear. So if we can repeat that, we win the league. The problem is, can we maintain it with the squad we have? I've watched us play against Newcastle, and I mean, we brought on a fullback for a forward. He did, actually, I think against Newcastle, I don't even know if he went to the bench at all. When we played against Spurs, I mean, Gabby looked a bit leggy, from about the 60th, 70th minute. He brought on KT and kind of shored up the game. You look at our bench, and with Gabriel Jesus not being there, and with ESR only just beginning to come back, we can't rush his recovery. We've got to manage, his return to this first team. So we look very, very light. The only realistic options we had on the bench against Spurs was Marquinhos, who he's just there to fill up numbers.
Yeah, he's not ready.
And Vieira, again, he's still transitioning into this side. So, yeah, I am concerned. I'm really concerned. I'm a lot more concerned than I was, prior to obviously the MUDRYK deal collapsing. And I think obviously the win against Spurs has somewhat distracted us, which is good. So I think while we keep winning games, I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of concern. But I think as the days go by, and look, at the end of the day, we've got just over 2 weeks before the window closes. I think it's going to be a huge mistake if we don't bring in a player or players this window. I think you're right. We didn't cement our top four, and I think ultimately it cost us. Now, you could say on the flip side, we didn't strengthen in January, but our recruitment in the summer was fantastic. And that is true. However, we're not pushing for top four. We're pushing for our first title in almost 20 years.
And that's my issue.
Yes, I understand we have a strategy, which is we don't overpay and we don't get into a bidding war, which I actually think is a load of crap, to be honest. Because I think you will very rarely find Arsenal pay in a transfer what the player's worth. And it's very rarely that you'll go into a deal with a player and they won't have other interested clubs that will bid for them. Yeah. I think it's a very convenient narrative to put out there when we miss out on a target. I don't believe it.
I hear what you're saying.
And I've said it on numerous occasions. I support Arsenal, but I don't necessarily fully support the transfer strategy. And I think right now, in this moment in time, nobody envisioned we would be 8 points clear.
No.
And pushing for the title. Listen, whatever strategy you got, switch it up.
Change it, yeah.
Switch it up.
Yeah.
Switch it up, spend that money, and bring in a couple of players, because we are literally 2 to 3 players away from winning our first league in almost 20 years. It's that simple.
Yeah. No, well said, G. And I think Elneny is he injured? I don't know how serious the injury is, but
he didn't even take part, did he?
Yeah. So Ray, coming to you, how you feeling? I know how you feeling about a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of how worried are you with 14 days left now? 15 days left?
Probably 6 or a 7 in terms of worriedness. Yeah. Just because I've seen this plot before and I know how this movie ends. We dilly-dally in the transfer window, we dance around certain players, and then, like I said earlier, we just take too long to execute it and they end up in a Chelsea shirt. Another reason that or
Nottingham Forest as well,
or Nottingham Forest by the looks of
Danilo.
Yeah. One of the reasons that MUDRYK was kind of shocking is that they signed João Felix, and you kind of thought, well, as a forward, they're set. I know he got sent off, but they're set. But obviously they had other ideas. I agree with G. However, what I would say is that we can't just go out and buy a player for the sake of buying a player. I really do believe that. I don't think you can just bring in a player just for the hell of it. I think it has to be the right player. But the problem is that does cost money, and it isn't always easy to do in January. If you want that player, you have to pay for it. And like you said, G, you do have to overpay. And that's kind of where we're looking at the moment.
Yeah.
If we do need to reinforce the squad. When Man City played Chelsea, they were able to bring on Mahrez and Grealish off the bench, 160 million quid's worth of attacking talent.
Yeah.
Like you said, when we played Newcastle, we were able to bring on Tomiyasu and Tierney. So that's the difference. But it can't just be anyone for the sake of it. I think we need to bring in a forward player that can play anywhere across the front three. somebody like a Ferran Torres, but maybe not him, but just that profile. We can play left, right, or through the centre. And yeah, I do think we need to bring in a DM. I'm not convinced with Sambi Lokonga. I like him, but I'm not convinced. I think he needs to play a full season somewhere, preferably in the Premier League or Championship, and then we can really kind of judge him. But yeah, we do need to bring in cover for Thomas Partey, because that's a huge position for us.
Critical position. No, well said. Yeah, go on. Sorry, go on, mate.
I was going to say that's just Eddie's job to find that player and bring him in, because I don't know who that is.
No, well said. Now, big up to you guys, man. In fact, one more thing before I go. Big up to the Arsenal players in the dressing room yesterday for their T-shirt for Beth Mead, who obviously lost her mum to ovarian cancer. So yeah, great touch by the lads.
Yeah, class. Rest in peace.
Yeah, class. Yeah, 100%, man. So Beth, get well soon. Obviously, she had a massive ACL injury, so she's out for a while. But hopefully, she'll get back in time for the Women's World Cup, which will be this year. I think it's July. I believe it is. I think. But big up to the Arsenal lads, man. Yes, people. Weekly surgery is now closed for today. It's been a while. It's been fantastic getting my two Arsenal brothers on. Heavily Arsenal-led, obviously, after a fantastic win yesterday, but great to talk about Premier League football and any other business as usual. Big up to the chat. Get your virtual waves and goodbyes in. So let me do my honourable duty. G, thank you for coming on, my brother. Tell the guys where they can find you.
No, listen, bro, man. Like I say, man, brother from another mother, man. Do you know what I mean? Fellow Gooner. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure always to accompany you, to be a guest on your show or any platform that you're hosting. So the pleasure is all mine. So thank you so much. But yeah, guys, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter, is where I do most of my interaction. I've had to change my handle from G Talks Arsenal to @1G Williams, just for obviously work and professional reasons. So please do, if you are on Twitter and you want to interact with me, I am on there quite a lot. So just hit me up on there. But I'm also a member of a fast-growing YouTube channel as well, Arsenal content, called The Armory, @The Armory TV. We're on YouTube. Fast approaching 800 subscribers. Hopefully we can get to 1K pretty soon. But yeah, if you want to see more of me on the screen and the rest of the team, then hit me up on YouTube, and that is @The Armory TV. But yeah, once again, also, yeah, obviously, Ray, you know, we know of each other. We don't massively interact, but hopefully that can change now. We can increase that. But yeah, pleasure to meet you as well.
Hopefully, mate.
Yeah,
pleasure you to too, mate. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
That's it, man. Albert JTV sometimes I like to bring people together.
Yeah, man.
Good thing. But yeah, Ray, listen, you've been on my channel before, but yeah, this is your first time of weekly surgery. Great debut, man. Lots of open heart surgeries to talk about in a good way. But yeah. Tell the people where they can find you, man.
Yeah, thank you again, mate, for inviting me on. An absolute pleasure. And just like G said, it's fantastic meeting you and getting to chat with you. It's also quite fitting that you bring on 2 Arsenal guests and 0 Tottenham. Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, Ray_Kasim, just in the corner there. Yeah, I do like chatting football. So yeah, if you've got something intelligent to say, then hit me up.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, guys, man. Thank you. People in the chat, thank you for your fantastic interaction as usual. As your host, Albert JTV, Twitter handle @AMA57. For myself and all the guests, as you see, if you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, the Twitter handle and Instagram handles in the corner of each and down on the bottom of the screen. Live stories will be back. There's in talks with a couple of people. So I know people are looking forward to that. One might even be a Tottenham fan, possibly. That is true, by the way. But
and that would be fitting of surgery and trauma, wouldn't it?
But that's not been confirmed yet in terms of a date, because the person's a busy person. So you're looking forward to getting that back on. But people, Man United Sunday. I'm sure you'll see me around on another platform maybe this week, some point. But yeah, like I said, smash a like button and subscribe to my channel and follow my guests on the Twitter handles. But yeah, weekly surgery, people, is now closed. If I can find the outro, there it is. Guys, we'll be back soon. Come on, you fantastic Gunners. Top of the league. Move on to Manchester United. See you later, people.
Come on, you guys.